Most people will never tell you this, but the day you stop expecting people to save you is the day your real life begins. Because the truth is, not everyone will support your dreams. Not everyone will stay loyal to you. Some people will disappear the moment life becomes difficult. Some will ignore your pain. Some will only believe in you after you succeed. And if you keep waiting for support, validation, or emotional comfort before you start building your future, you may waste your entire life waiting. But there is something powerful that happens when you are forced to walk alone. You stop depending on others to carry your motivation. You stop needing applause to believe in yourself. You stop chasing people who never intended to help you grow. And slowly, you become stronger, calmer, more disciplined, and emotionally independent. Some of the most powerful people in the world were built during lonely seasons where they had nobody but themselves. No support, no encouragement, no rescue. Just pressure, silence, and the decision to keep moving forward anyway. So if you feel alone right now, this message is for you. Because your greatest transformation may begin the moment you stop waiting for people and start building yourself in silence. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for someone to save you. One of the biggest mistakes people make in life is waiting for someone to rescue them. They wait for motivation before they start improving themselves. They wait for support before they chase their dreams. They wait for the perfect opportunity, the perfect relationship, or the perfect moment before they finally take control of their life. But the truth is, life rarely changes while you are waiting. Life changes when you stop depending on outside help and start building yourself with whatever you already have. Nobody is going to care about your future more than you. Nobody will carry your responsibilities forever. Once you truly understand this, your mindset begins to change. You stop wasting energy complaining about who disappointed you, who ignored your struggles, or who walked away when life became difficult. Instead of focusing on what people failed to give you, you begin focusing on what you can still create for yourself. Strong people are not always the people who had the most love, support, or easy opportunities. Many of them became strong because they had no choice. They learned how to survive difficult seasons alone. They learned how to keep working even when nobody encouraged them. They learned how to believe in themselves during moments where they felt completely unseen. Sometimes life removes certain people from your path so you can finally grow on your own. If people constantly save you, protect you, or solve your problems, you never fully develop discipline, independence, or emotional strength. You become too dependent on others for comfort and direction. But when life forces you to stand on your own, you slowly realize that you are stronger than you thought, more capable than you believed, and able to keep moving forward even without support. Now 2. Chapter 2. Learn how to motivate yourself. Most people only feel motivated when life feels easy. They feel inspired when people support them, encourage them, or pay attention to them. But real strength is built when you learn how to keep going without constant motivation from others. Because if your energy always depends on outside support, you will stop every time life becomes difficult. Building a better life alone requires self-motivation. You must learn how to push yourself even on days when you feel tired, discouraged, or emotionally drained. Some days, nobody will check on you. Nobody will remind you to stay focused. Nobody will notice your effort. But you still have to continue. Because your future depends on the actions you take during those quiet and difficult moments. Many people quit too early because they expect instant results. They want their hard work to be noticed immediately. But real growth often happens silently. Before success becomes visible, there are months or years of unseen effort, discipline, and sacrifice. Strong people understand this. That is why they keep improving even when nobody is clapping for them. You must stop depending on validation to stay consistent. Stop waiting for people to believe in you before you believe in yourself. The most successful people are often the ones who learned how to encourage themselves during lonely seasons. They learned how to become their own source of energy, discipline, and focus. Your habits during isolation will shape your future. Every small action matters. Every day you continue improving yourself, even without support, you become mentally stronger. Over time, that quiet discipline begins to change your confidence, your mindset, and your entire life. Chapter 3. Being alone is not a weakness. Most people are afraid of being alone. They think being alone means they are losing in life. Society teaches people that happiness only comes from relationships, attention, or constantly being surrounded by others. Because of this, many people stay connected to the wrong people just to avoid loneliness. They tolerate disrespect, fake friendships, unhealthy relationships, and emotional exhaustion because they are terrified of facing life alone. But being alone is not always a weakness. Sometimes it is one of the most important seasons of your life. There is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is feeling emotionally empty. Solitude is learning how to connect with yourself without needing constant distraction. Most people never learn this difference. That is why they constantly search for noise, attention, and validation to escape their own thoughts. A person who cannot sit alone with themselves will always depend on others for happiness. Their peace will depend on who texts them, who supports them, or who stays in their life. But this creates emotional weakness, because people are unpredictable. People change. People leave. People disappoint you. If your entire emotional stability depends on others, your life will always feel unstable. Strong people learn how to become comfortable alone. They use solitude to understand themselves better. They reflect on their habits, emotions, goals, and mistakes. They stop running away from silence and begin using it for growth. Because silence reveals things distraction hides. Many people discover their true strength during lonely seasons. When life becomes quiet, you finally begin hearing your own thoughts clearly. You begin understanding what truly matters to you. You stop chasing approval from everyone around you and start focusing on becoming the best version of yourself. Sometimes, life isolates you for a reason. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Some growth cannot happen when you are constantly distracted by other people's opinions, drama, or expectations. Certain lessons are only learned in solitude. Discipline is built in solitude. Emotional strength is built in solitude. Self-respect is built in solitude. Most successful people spent years improving themselves quietly before anyone noticed them. While others wasted time chasing attention, they were learning skills, strengthening their mindset, and building their future in silence. That is the power of solitude. It gives you space to rebuild yourself without pressure from the outside world. You must stop seeing loneliness as proof that something is wrong with you. Sometimes your life becomes lonely because you are outgrowing old environments and unhealthy connections. Not everybody is meant to walk with you forever. Some people only belong in certain chapters of your life. The moment you stop fearing solitude, your mindset begins to change. You stop begging for attention. You stop chasing people who do not value you. You stop needing constant validation just to feel worthy. Instead, you begin creating peace within yourself. Being alone can either break you or build you. It depends on how you use that season of your life. Weak people use solitude to feel sorry for themselves. Strong people use solitude to transform themselves. Chapter 4. Build yourself quietly. One of the most powerful things you can learn in life is how to build yourself quietly. Most people talk too much about what they want to become, but very few people are willing to work in silence long enough to actually transform their life. They announce their goals before they build discipline. They seek attention before they achieve results. They want recognition before they earn it. But real growth does not happen through talking. Real growth happens through consistent action, repeated quietly every single day. If you want to build a better life alone, you must stop needing everyone to understand your vision. Not everybody will see your potential in the beginning. Some people may doubt you. Some may laugh at your goals. Others may ignore your effort completely. But none of that matters if you stay focused on your path. Strong people understand that results speak louder than explanations. That is why they spend less time trying to prove themselves and more time improving themselves. They know that talking about success is easy, but building success requires patience, sacrifice, discipline, and emotional control. Many people quit because they become addicted to attention. They want people to notice their effort immediately. They want constant praise to stay motivated. But when the attention disappears, their discipline disappears too. This is why so many people start strong, but never finish anything. They were motivated by validation, not by purpose. Building yourself quietly means learning how to work without applause. It means waking up early and staying disciplined even when nobody is watching. It means improving your mindset, your habits, your health, and your future without needing public approval. Because true confidence is built privately before it is ever seen publicly. Some of the strongest people you admire today spent years improving themselves in silence. Nobody noticed their sacrifices. Nobody saw the lonely nights, the failures, the self-doubt, or the emotional battles they fought behind closed doors. People only notice success after the results become visible. But the real transformation happened long before anyone paid attention. You must understand that a better life is not built in one day. It is built through small actions repeated consistently over time. Reading instead of wasting hours on distraction. Working on your goals even when you feel tired. Staying disciplined even when life feels unfair. Choosing growth instead of comfort again and again. These small actions may feel invisible at first, but over time they completely change who you become. There will be moments where your progress feels slow. Moments where you feel like nobody notices your effort. Moments where loneliness makes you question if your hard work even matters. But you cannot allow temporary emotions to stop your long-term growth. Every powerful life is built through consistency during difficult seasons. When you build yourself quietly, you also protect your energy. Not everybody deserves access to your dreams, your plans, or your next move. Some people project their fear onto others. Some people discourage growth because they are afraid of change themselves. That is why silence can become a form of protection. You do not need to announce everything you are building. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is stay focused and let your results speak for you later. A disciplined person becomes dangerous because they no longer depend on motivation to continue. They develop routines that keep them moving forward regardless of emotions. Even on difficult days, they continue improving themselves because they understand that consistency creates freedom. The truth is, most people want the rewards of growth without the loneliness that often comes with it. They want success without sacrifice, confidence without discipline, strength without struggle. But real transformation requires discomfort. It requires patience. It requires learning how to continue even when nobody is encouraging you. Your lonely season can either distract you or develop you. Weak people use solitude to complain, overthink, and feel sorry for themselves. Strong people use solitude to build skills, strengthen their mindset, and create a future that no longer depends on luck or validation. One day people may look at your life and admire your confidence, your discipline, and your success. But they will never fully understand the silent work it took to become that person. They will not see the years you spent building yourself quietly while nobody believed in you. They will only see the result of the person you became through patience, silence, and relentless self-improvement. Chapter 5. Stop depending on emotional support. One of the biggest reasons people struggle in life is because they become emotionally dependent on others. Their happiness depends on attention. Their confidence depends on validation. Their motivation depends on support from people around them. When someone ignores them, they feel worthless. When someone leaves them, they lose direction. When someone disappoints them, their entire emotional state collapses. But if your emotions are controlled by other people, your life will always feel unstable. The truth is, people are unpredictable. Some people will support you only when life is easy. Some will disappear during your hardest moments. Others may never fully understand your struggles at all. That is why building your emotional strength is so important. Because if you constantly rely on others to keep you emotionally stable, you will suffer every time life becomes lonely. Strong people are not people who never feel pain. They are people who learn how to carry their pain without allowing it to destroy their future. They understand that sadness, disappointment, rejection, and loneliness are all part of life. But instead of collapsing emotionally, they learn how to manage their emotions with maturity and discipline. Most people never develop emotional independence because they spend their entire life seeking comfort. They run toward distractions every time life becomes difficult. They constantly need someone to reassure them, motivate them, or calm them down. But emotional growth begins when you learn how to face difficult emotions without immediately escaping them. If you want to build a powerful life alone, you must learn how to become your own source of stability. You must learn how to calm your own mind during stressful moments. You must learn how to encourage yourself when nobody else does. You must learn how to continue moving forward even while carrying emotional pain inside. This does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop depending on people for your survival. There is a difference between appreciating support and needing support to function. Emotionally strong people appreciate love, friendship, and encouragement, but they do not collapse when those things are temporarily missing from their life. Many people lose themselves trying to hold on to people who no longer belong in their journey. They beg for attention, chase validation, and tolerate disrespect because they are afraid of being alone. But this fear creates emotional weakness. The more desperate you become for emotional support, the easier it becomes for people to control your peace. That is why emotionally strong people learn how to detach from unhealthy dependence. They stop begging people to stay. They stop forcing connections that no longer feel healthy. They understand that protecting their peace is more important than chasing temporary comfort. Life becomes easier when you stop expecting everyone to understand your struggles. Most people are busy fighting their own battles. Some people may care about you deeply, but still not fully understand the pain you carry inside. This is why emotional maturity is important. You cannot expect the world to constantly rescue you emotionally. Instead of asking, "Who will save me?" you begin asking, "How can I become stronger?" Some of the strongest people in the world built themselves during seasons where they had nobody to lean on emotionally, no encouragement, no reassurance, no emotional safety, just pressure, silence, and responsibility. But instead of allowing loneliness to destroy them, they used it to become mentally stronger. Emotional strength is built through difficult experiences. Every heartbreak teaches you resilience. Every disappointment teaches you emotional control. Every lonely season teaches you how to survive without constant support. Over time, you begin realizing that you are capable of handling far more than you once believed. You must stop seeing emotional pain as proof that you are weak. Pain is part of growth. The people who become mentally strong are usually the people who learned how to survive difficult emotional seasons without giving up on themselves. There will be moments where you feel emotionally exhausted, moments where you feel misunderstood, unsupported, or alone. But those moments do not define your future. What defines your future is how you respond to them. Weak people allow emotions to control their life. Strong people learn how to control their emotions so they can continue building the life they want. The goal is not to become cold or emotionless. The goal is to become emotionally stable, calm during chaos, focused during loneliness, disciplined during difficult seasons. Because once you develop emotional independence, life stops controlling you so easily. And when you finally learn how to stand emotionally on your own, you stop fearing loneliness. You stop chasing validation. You stop depending on people to tell you your worth. That is the moment real inner strength begins to grow. Chapter 6. Use solitude to build your future. Most people waste their lonely seasons. Instead of using solitude to improve themselves, they spend their time overthinking, scrolling endlessly, comparing their life to others, or feeling sorry for themselves. They see isolation as punishment instead of opportunity. But powerful people understand something different. They understand that solitude can become one of the most important seasons of transformation in a person's life. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, distractions, and other people's opinions, it becomes difficult to hear your own thoughts clearly. Your attention becomes scattered. Your emotions become influenced by everyone around you. But solitude creates space. It gives you time to think deeply about your life, your habits, your mindset, and the future you truly want to build. Some of the greatest transformations happen in silence. Before success becomes visible publicly, growth happens privately. Just like a seed grows underground before becoming a tree, personal growth often begins during seasons where nobody sees your progress. That is why you must stop viewing solitude as something negative. Your lonely season may actually be preparing you for the life you want. Sometimes life separates you from distractions, so you can finally focus on becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. When you are alone, you have a choice. You can either waste time complaining about who is missing from your life, or you can use that time to build yourself. You can learn new skills, improve your health, strengthen your discipline, read more, develop emotional control, work on your goals, heal from past pain, build better habits. All of these things become easier when your energy is not constantly being pulled in different directions. Many people say they want a better future, but they never use their free time wisely. They wait for motivation instead of creating discipline. They keep distracting themselves because they are uncomfortable being alone with their thoughts. But growth requires stillness. It requires moments where you disconnect from distractions and reconnect with yourself. Solitude teaches you self-awareness. It forces you to notice your weaknesses, your fears, your unhealthy habits, and the excuses that have been holding you back. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is often the beginning of transformation. Because once you become aware of what is damaging your life, you finally gain the power to change it. Some people become bitter during lonely seasons. They become angry at life, jealous of others, and emotionally stuck in self-pity. But others use loneliness as fuel. They allow pain to sharpen their discipline instead of destroy their mindset. They become more focused, more independent, and more determined to create a better future for themselves. You must become one of those people. There will be moments where solitude feels heavy, moments where you wish someone understood your struggles or supported your journey. But you cannot allow temporary loneliness to stop long-term growth. Some seasons are meant to test your patience, your mindset, and your emotional strength. Those seasons are not there to break you. They are there to prepare you. Most successful people spent years improving themselves quietly before the world noticed them. They worked during lonely nights. They stayed disciplined when nobody believed in them. They continued building their future even when they felt emotionally exhausted. That silent consistency is what eventually separated them from everyone else. A better future is not built through comfort. It is built through discipline repeated daily over time. The person you become during lonely seasons will shape the rest of your life. Every habit you build matters. Every small improvement matters. Every decision to keep moving forward matters. Instead of constantly asking why life feels lonely, ask yourself what this season is trying to teach you. Maybe it is teaching you independence. Maybe it is teaching you emotional strength. Maybe it is teaching you how to stop depending on validation and finally focus on your own growth. Because one day your life will change. Your discipline will create opportunities. Your silent work will create results. Your lonely season will create wisdom, strength, and confidence that comfort never could. And when that day comes, you will realize something powerful. The same solitude that once felt painful was actually building the stronger version of you all along. Chapter 7. Build a life that does not depend on anyone. One of the most powerful things a person can learn in life is how to build a life that does not emotionally depend on anyone else. Most people never develop this strength. Their peace depends on attention. Their happiness depends on validation. Their confidence depends on who stays in their life and who leaves. Because of this, they spend years emotionally controlled by other people's actions, opinions, and approval. But the moment you stop depending on people for your sense of worth, your life begins to change completely. This does not mean you stop loving people. It does not mean you become cold, selfish, or emotionally disconnected. It simply means you stop making other people responsible for your inner peace. You stop expecting others to constantly save you emotionally, motivate you, or complete you. You begin understanding that real stability must come from within yourself. Most people suffer because they build their entire identity around external things. They build their happiness around relationships, attention, social approval, or emotional support. So when those things disappear, they completely lose themselves. A breakup destroys their confidence. Rejection destroys their motivation. Loneliness destroys their peace. Why? Because they never learned how to stand emotionally on their own. Strong people understand something different. They understand that people are temporary. Some people will support you for a season and then disappear. Some will love you while life is easy, but leave when things become difficult. Others may never fully understand your vision or your struggles at all. This is why depending too much on people can become dangerous. Because when your emotional foundation is built on unstable things, your life becomes unstable too. A powerful life is built on inner strength, not external approval. Most people spend their entire lives chasing validation. They want to feel accepted. They want everyone to agree with them, support them, and admire them. Because of this, they constantly change themselves to fit other people's expectations. They hide who they really are just to avoid rejection. They stay silent when they should speak. They tolerate disrespect because they fear losing people. They abandon their own dreams trying to make everyone around them comfortable. But the sad truth is this: if you build your life trying to please everyone, you will eventually lose yourself. You must understand that not everyone will support your growth. Some people only like the version of you that stays small, insecure, and emotionally dependent. The moment you start becoming stronger, more disciplined, or more independent, certain people may become uncomfortable. They may distance themselves from you. They may criticize your growth. They may misunderstand your silence and your focus. Do not let that stop you. Not everybody is meant to grow with you. Building a better life alone means learning how to continue your journey even when support disappears. It means learning how to trust yourself even when nobody understands your vision. It means learning how to stay disciplined even when nobody notices your effort. This kind of mindset creates freedom. The moment you stop needing constant validation, you stop feeling emotionally controlled by the world around you. You stop chasing approval from people who do not truly value you. You stop over-explaining yourself to everyone. You stop begging to be understood. Instead, you become more focused on building your life quietly and protecting your peace. Many people waste years emotionally exhausted because they constantly seek reassurance from others. They need people to tell them they are good enough, attractive enough, talented enough, or worthy enough. But confidence built on other people's opinions is weak confidence, because opinions change constantly. One compliment makes them feel valuable, and one criticism destroys them emotionally. But when you build confidence from within, your mindset becomes stronger. You no longer depend on applause to continue improving yourself. You no longer quit every time someone doubts you. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to everyone around you. You understand that your life is not a performance for public approval. Real confidence is quiet. It comes from knowing you can survive difficult seasons alone. It comes from knowing you can handle disappointment without collapsing emotionally. It comes from knowing you can continue building your future even when nobody supports you. That is true inner strength. There will be seasons in life where you feel misunderstood. Seasons where people ignore your effort, question your decisions, or fail to see your potential. During those moments, weak people usually give up. They allow loneliness to destroy their motivation. They become bitter, angry, and emotionally lost because they depended too heavily on outside support. But strong people use those seasons differently. They use loneliness as training. They become more disciplined, more self-aware, more emotionally stable. Instead of begging the world for attention, they quietly improve themselves. They focus on their goals, habits, mindset, and future. Over time, they become mentally stronger because they stopped expecting life to constantly comfort them. You must learn how to become one of those people. Stop waiting for everybody to believe in your dreams before you start taking action. Some people will only believe in you after they see results. That is how life works. People often doubt what they cannot yet see. But if you quit every time somebody doubts you, you will never build anything meaningful. Your future requires self-belief. Even when you feel alone, even when progress feels slow, even when nobody notices your effort. The people who eventually build extraordinary lives are usually the people who kept moving forward during invisible seasons. While others were distracted by comfort, attention, and temporary pleasures, they stayed focused on long-term growth. A powerful life is not built overnight. It is built through daily discipline, through emotional control, through learning how to continue without constant reassurance from others. Many people fear loneliness because they think being alone means they are failing in life. But sometimes loneliness is necessary. Sometimes life removes distractions so you can finally focus on who you are becoming. Some lessons can only be learned when you are standing on your own. Loneliness teaches you self-reliance. It teaches you emotional strength. It teaches you how to stop depending on external things for internal peace. And eventually, something powerful begins to happen. You stop fearing abandonment. You stop chasing people who no longer value you. You stop needing everyone to agree with your choices. Instead, you become more peaceful because your stability no longer depends on things outside your control. That is freedom. Freedom is not having a perfect life. Freedom is having a strong enough mind to remain stable even when life becomes difficult. Most people spend their whole life trying to avoid discomfort. But discomfort is often where growth begins. Every lonely season, every disappointment, every painful experience can either weaken you or strengthen you, depending on how you respond to it. You must stop asking, "Why is life so hard for me?" and start asking, "Who is this struggle helping me become?" Because every difficult season is shaping your character. Every moment where you continue without support is building resilience. Every painful experience is teaching you emotional maturity. And every lonely season is teaching you how to become stronger on your own. One day, you will look back and realize that the hardest seasons of your life were also the seasons that transformed you the most. The loneliness forced you to become independent. The silence forced you to understand yourself. The struggle forced you to grow stronger mentally and emotionally. And eventually, you stopped needing the world to constantly validate you because you finally understand your own worth. That is when your life truly changes. Because once you become emotionally independent, you stop living from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of loneliness, fear of people leaving your life. You no longer feel controlled by those fears because you know you can survive on your own if necessary. And ironically, that is when relationships become healthier too. Because you stop loving people from desperation. You stop clinging to people out of emotional weakness. Instead, you learn how to appreciate people without depending on them for your identity. A strong person can love deeply without losing themselves. That is real maturity. At the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. Your healing is your responsibility. Your mindset is your responsibility. Your future is your responsibility. People can support you, guide you, and encourage you, but nobody can build your life for you. That part belongs to you alone. So stop waiting for perfect support before you start becoming the person you want to become. Stop depending on validation before you chase your goals. Stop allowing loneliness to convince you that your future is hopeless. Some of the strongest people in the world were built during seasons where they had nobody but themselves. And maybe this season of your life is doing the same thing to you right now. Chapter 8. Become someone who can walk alone. One of the greatest forms of strength in life is the ability to walk alone without losing yourself. Most people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of loneliness. They are afraid of being misunderstood, rejected, abandoned, or unsupported. That fear is what keeps many people trapped in unhealthy relationships, fake friendships, and lives that no longer make them happy. They stay connected to people who drain them emotionally because they are terrified of standing alone. They continue seeking approval from people who never truly valued them because they believe loneliness is worse than suffering. But the truth is, constantly betraying yourself just to keep people around, is one of the deepest forms of suffering a person can experience. There comes a moment in life where you must decide what matters more: protecting your peace or protecting your attachment to people who are holding you back. Most people never make that decision. They spend their whole life emotionally dependent on others. Their confidence changes depending on who texts them. Their motivation changes depending on who supports them. Their emotional stability changes depending on who stays and who leaves. Because of this, they never truly feel free. But powerful people learn something different. They learn how to stand alone without collapsing emotionally. They learn how to continue their journey even when nobody understands them. They stop begging people to stay in their life and start focusing on becoming stronger within themselves. This is one of the hardest lessons a person can learn, because walking alone forces you to face yourself completely. There are no distractions to hide behind, no constant validation to comfort you, no emotional dependence to numb your fears. You are forced to confront your insecurities, your habits, your mindset, and the life you have been creating. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. Many people avoid solitude because silence reveals things they have been trying to escape for years. It reveals their fear of rejection, their fear of not being enough, their fear of being forgotten or abandoned. That is why so many people constantly chase noise, attention, relationships, and distraction. They are not chasing connection. They are trying to escape themselves. But growth begins when you stop running. Growth begins when you finally sit alone with yourself and decide to become stronger instead of becoming bitter. A person who learns how to walk alone becomes dangerous in a powerful way. Not dangerous because they become cold or emotionless, but dangerous because they stop depending on the world to constantly carry them emotionally. They develop inner stability. They stop panicking every time life becomes lonely. They stop begging for validation. They stop chasing approval from people who do not truly respect them. Instead, they become grounded within themselves. And once this happens, everything begins to change. You stop making desperate decisions out of fear of loneliness. You stop staying in places that destroy your peace. You stop allowing people to manipulate your emotions so easily. Why? Because emotionally independent people are difficult to control. Many people remain trapped in toxic situations because they fear being alone more than they fear suffering. They would rather stay connected to people who disrespect them than face temporary loneliness. But this destroys self-respect over time. Every time you abandon your own peace to keep unhealthy people in your life, you slowly lose confidence in yourself. That is why learning how to walk alone is so important. It rebuilds your self-respect. It teaches you that your value does not disappear just because certain people leave your life. It teaches you that loneliness is survivable. And once you realize you can survive alone, fear loses much of its control over you. Most people spend years trying to avoid discomfort, but discomfort is often where transformation begins. The lonely seasons of life are not always punishments. Sometimes they are preparation. Sometimes life separates you from distractions because your growth requires isolation. A seed grows underground before it becomes visible above the surface. In the same way, many personal transformations happen privately before the world ever sees the results. During lonely seasons, you are being shaped mentally and emotionally in ways you may not fully understand yet. This is why you must stop viewing loneliness as proof that your life is failing. Some of the strongest, wisest, and most disciplined people were built during seasons where they had nobody but themselves. No support, no applause, no reassurance, just silence, pressure, and responsibility. But instead of allowing that loneliness to destroy them, They allowed it to strengthen them. You must learn how to do the same. There will be moments where you feel misunderstood, moments where you feel like nobody truly sees your effort or understands your struggles. There will be nights where loneliness feels heavy, nights where you question yourself, your future, and your direction in life. But those moments are not meant to stop you. They are meant to test your emotional strength. Because anyone can feel motivated when life feels comfortable. Anyone can feel confident when they are constantly supported. But the people who truly grow are the ones who continue moving forward during difficult seasons. That is real strength. Walking alone also teaches you clarity. When you stop surrounding yourself with constant noise, you begin seeing life differently. You start noticing how much energy you wasted chasing approval, how much peace you sacrificed trying to keep everyone happy, how much time you lost trying to fit into places where you no longer belonged. And slowly, your priorities begin to change. You stop caring so much about impressing people. You stop needing everyone to understand your journey. You stop explaining your goals to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, you become more focused on protecting your peace, building your future, and improving yourself quietly. That is maturity. A mature person understands that not everyone will support their growth. Some people only liked you when you were easy to control, emotionally dependent, or unsure of yourself. The moment you become stronger and more independent, certain people may feel uncomfortable around you because your growth reminds them of the changes they avoid making in their own life. Do not let that discourage you. Growth often creates distance, not because you become better than others, but because your mindset, priorities, and habits begin changing. You start valuing peace more than drama, discipline more than distraction, purpose more than temporary validation. And because of this, your circle may become smaller. But smaller does not always mean worse. Sometimes losing certain people is necessary for your growth. Some connections only exist for a season. Some people are not meant to walk with you forever. Trying to force everyone to stay in your life will only delay your evolution. You must become comfortable with outgrowing people. This is one of the hardest emotional lessons in life. Because humans naturally crave connection. We want to feel understood, accepted, and supported. But there is a difference between healthy connection and emotional dependence. Healthy connection adds value to your life without controlling your identity. Emotional dependence makes your entire emotional state dependent on other people's actions. And emotional dependence always leads to suffering. That is why you must build a relationship with yourself first. Learn how to enjoy your own company. Learn how to create peace within your own mind. Learn how to motivate yourself, comfort yourself, and guide yourself during difficult seasons. Because if you cannot stand being alone with yourself, you will constantly seek unhealthy distractions just to escape your own thoughts. Walking alone teaches you self-trust. It teaches you that you are capable of handling difficult situations without collapsing emotionally. It teaches you resilience. Every lonely season you survive makes you mentally stronger. Every painful experience you overcome increases your emotional maturity. Over time, you stop seeing yourself as fragile. You begin realizing that you are capable of far more than you once believed. And this realization changes everything. Because once you stop fearing loneliness, you stop living from desperation. You stop begging for love. You stop chasing validation. You stop forcing relationships. You stop tolerating disrespect just to avoid being alone. Instead, you begin making decisions from self-respect instead of fear. That is true power. A person who can walk alone without losing themselves becomes emotionally free. Free from the constant need for approval. free from the fear of abandonment, free from the pressure to constantly prove their worth to others. And once you experience this kind of freedom, your entire life begins to feel lighter. You realize that peace is more valuable than attention, that discipline is more valuable than temporary comfort, that self-respect is more valuable than forced connection. And most importantly, you realize that your future cannot depend on whether other people choose to stay or leave. Because at the end of the day, the person who will always be with you is yourself. That is why learning how to walk alone is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. Not because life should always be lonely, but because emotional independence gives you strength no matter what life brings. One day, people may admire your confidence, your calmness, and your discipline. They may wonder how you became so emotionally strong, but they will never fully understand the lonely seasons that built you. They will never fully see the silent battles you fought within yourself. They will only see the person you became after surviving those difficult chapters alone. And maybe that is the real purpose of lonely seasons. Not to destroy you, but to introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. Chapter 9. Your greatest transformation will happen in silence. Most people want success, confidence, peace, and emotional strength, but very few people are willing to go through the lonely process required to build those things. They want quick results without sacrifice. They want recognition without discipline. They want a better life while continuing the same habits that keep them emotionally weak and mentally distracted. But real transformation does not happen loudly. Your greatest transformation will happen in silence. It will happen during the moments nobody sees, during the lonely mornings where you choose discipline over comfort, during the nights where you continue working on yourself even while feeling emotionally exhausted, during the painful seasons where nobody supports your vision, yet you keep moving forward anyway. Most people only notice success after it becomes visible. They see confidence, discipline, emotional strength, or achievement, but they never see the silent process that created those things. They do not see the sacrifices, the isolation, the failures, the self-doubt, the emotional battles, or the years of consistency behind the scenes. But that silent process is where transformation is born. There is a reason why many powerful people become quieter as they grow. It is because maturity teaches them that constant attention is not necessary for progress. Weak people announce everything. They constantly seek validation before results exist. They tell the world every plan, every goal, and every dream because they crave external approval. But disciplined people move differently. They understand that energy is valuable. Focus is valuable. Peace is valuable. Instead of wasting time trying to impress people, they quietly build themselves day by day. They allow their actions to speak louder than their words. This is one of the hardest mindsets to develop in modern life because the world constantly encourages distraction. People are addicted to attention, addicted to being seen, praised, and validated. Many people no longer know how to work quietly without needing recognition. That is why so many people stay stuck. The moment progress feels invisible, they quit. The moment support disappears, they lose motivation. The moment life becomes lonely, they abandon their goals. Because they built their discipline on emotions instead of purpose. But true growth requires emotional control. There will be seasons where nobody notices your effort. Seasons where your progress feels slow. Seasons where you question whether all your sacrifices are even worth it. During those moments, weak people usually return to comfort. They distract themselves to escape discomfort. They stop improving because results are not happening fast enough. But strong people understand something important. Small actions repeated consistently over time eventually change everything. A person does not become mentally strong overnight. A person does not suddenly wake up disciplined, confident, or emotionally stable. Those qualities are built slowly through repeated choices made during difficult moments. Every time you continue despite loneliness, you become stronger. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you become stronger. Every time you stay focused while others waste time chasing distractions, you become stronger. Transformation happens gradually. At first, you may not even notice the changes happening inside you, but slowly your mindset begins changing. You become calmer, more focused, more emotionally stable. You stop reacting to every small problem. You stop needing constant reassurance from others. You stop feeling desperate for attention and approval. Why? Because solitude teaches you self-awareness. Silence teaches you clarity. Discipline teaches you self-respect. And pain teaches you resilience. Many people fear silent seasons because they mistake silence for failure. When life becomes quiet, they panic. They think something is wrong because they are no longer constantly entertained, validated, or surrounded by people. But some of the most important seasons of life are the quiet ones. Silence allows you to hear yourself clearly. It allows you to notice your habits, your fears, your weaknesses, and your emotional patterns. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that distractions helped you avoid for years. This is uncomfortable for many people. That is why they constantly seek noise. Noise through social media, noise through relationships, noise through constant entertainment, noise through endless distraction. Because silence forces honesty. And honesty can be painful. But growth only begins when you become honest with yourself. You cannot transform your life while constantly running away from reality. At some point, you must sit with yourself and ask difficult questions. Who are you becoming? What habits are destroying your future? What fears are controlling your decisions? What distractions are wasting your potential? What kind of life are you creating through your daily actions? Most people avoid these questions because they require responsibility. It is easier to blame life, blame circumstances, or blame other people than it is to confront yourself honestly. But powerful people take responsibility for their growth. Even when life feels unfair, even when they feel unsupported, even when progress feels invisible, they continue improving because they understand that nobody else can build their future for them. That responsibility belongs to them. This is why silent growth is so powerful, because when you stop depending on external motivation, your discipline becomes deeper. You are no longer improving yourself for attention. You are improving because you understand your future depends on it. There is a huge difference between performing growth and actually growing. Many people perform growth publicly. They constantly talk about becoming better, healing, improving, or changing their life. But privately, their habits remain the same. They still avoid responsibility. They still waste time. They still allow emotions to control their discipline. Real growth is private before it becomes public. A seed grows underground before anyone sees the tree. And in the same way, your greatest transformation will happen during seasons where nobody notices your effort. You must become comfortable with that. You must become comfortable building your life quietly. Not everything needs to be announced. Not every goal needs validation. Not every dream needs explanation. Some things grow better in silence, because silence protects focus. The more attention you seek, the more energy you lose trying to maintain people's approval. But when your focus turns inward, your energy becomes stronger. You begin building momentum privately instead of chasing recognition publicly. And over time, this changes your entire personality. You become less reactive, less desperate, less emotionally dependent. You stop needing everyone to understand you because you finally understand yourself. That is real confidence. Real confidence is not loud arrogance. It is quiet certainty. It is the ability to continue your journey without constant applause from the world around you. Many people confuse confidence with attention. They think confident people are always loud, expressive, or trying to dominate others. But truly confident people often move calmly. They do not need to prove their value constantly, because their confidence comes from internal stability, not public approval. This is why silent growth creates powerful people. Because during lonely seasons, you are forced to build your identity from within instead of from external validation. You begin learning how to trust yourself, how to guide yourself, how to motivate yourself, how to calm yourself during difficult moments. And eventually, something powerful happens. You stop fearing loneliness. You stop fearing rejection. You stop fearing people leaving your life. Because you realize your strength does not disappear just because support disappears. That realization changes everything. Most people stay trapped because fear controls their decisions. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being alone, fear of not being accepted. But when you survive difficult seasons alone, many of those fears lose power over you. You begin realizing that discomfort is survivable, loneliness is survivable, failure is survivable, rejection is survivable, and once you realize this, you become mentally stronger than most people around you. Because emotionally strong people are difficult to control. They do not abandon their values just to fit in. They do not beg for attention. They do not chase approval desperately. Instead, they focus on building a life that feels peaceful and meaningful to them. That is true freedom. The world often glorifies loud success, but some of the strongest people are quietly rebuilding themselves while nobody notices. Quietly healing, quietly learning, quietly becoming stronger mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Never underestimate silent growth. Just because your progress is invisible right now does not mean transformation is not happening. Every disciplined habit matters. Every lonely night matters. Every moment where you continue despite discouragement matters. Because slowly, day by day, you are becoming someone different, someone calmer, someone wiser, someone more disciplined, someone emotionally stronger. And one day, people may look at your life and admire the person you became. They may admire your confidence, your peace, your discipline, or your success. But they will never fully understand the silent process that built you. They will not see the nights you fought your own thoughts. They will not see the sacrifices you made quietly. They will not see the lonely seasons where you almost gave up but kept moving forward anyway. But you will remember. And that memory will remind you of something powerful. Your greatest transformation did not happen when life became easy. It happened when life became quiet, difficult, lonely, and uncomfortable, and you chose to keep growing anyway. Chapter 10. One day you will thank yourself for not giving up. There will be moments in your life where giving up feels easier than continuing. Moments where you feel emotionally exhausted from carrying everything alone. Moments where loneliness makes you question your worth, your future, and your ability to keep moving forward. There will be nights where your mind becomes heavy with doubt, nights where you wonder if all your effort even matters, because nobody seems to notice your struggle. These moments are part of the journey. Every person who eventually becomes mentally strong goes through seasons where life feels unfair, lonely, and emotionally draining. The difference is that some people allow those seasons to destroy them, while others allow those seasons to transform them. That transformation begins the moment you decide not to quit on yourself. Most people do not fail because they lack talent. They fail because they stop believing in themselves too early. They expect life to reward them immediately, and when progress becomes slow or invisible, they lose hope. They compare their life to everyone around them and begin feeling left behind. They see other people receiving support, love, opportunities, and attention while they are silently struggling alone. And slowly, discouragement begins to take control of their mind. This is one of the most dangerous moments in life, because discouragement can quietly destroy discipline. It can make you feel emotionally tired before your breakthrough even arrives. That is why you must learn how to continue during seasons where nothing seems to be working yet. Because growth often feels invisible before it becomes visible. A tree does not grow in one day. Before anything appears above the surface, deep roots are forming underground. In the same way, your discipline, emotional strength, patience, and resilience are growing long before the world sees the results. But most people quit during the invisible stage. They quit because loneliness convinces them that they are failing. They quit because silence makes them doubt their progress. They quit because nobody is encouraging them consistently. But powerful people continue anyway. That is what separates them. There is something extremely powerful about a person who continues building their life even when nobody believes in them yet. A person who keeps improving despite loneliness. A person who stays disciplined despite emotional exhaustion. A person who keeps moving forward while carrying pain nobody else fully understands. That kind of person becomes unstoppable over time. Because every difficult season they survive builds another layer of strength inside them. Pain changes people. Loneliness changes people. Struggle changes people. But the important question is this: will those experiences make you weaker or wiser? Many people allow pain to turn them bitter. They become angry at life, angry at people, angry at their past. Instead of growing stronger, they become emotionally stuck in resentment and self-pity. But strong people use pain differently. They use pain as fuel for transformation. Every rejection teaches them self-respect. Every lonely season teaches them independence. Every failure teaches them resilience. Every difficult moment teaches them patience and emotional control. And slowly, they become stronger than the version of themselves that once depended on constant comfort and validation. This is why difficult seasons are often necessary. Comfort rarely forces growth. Comfort keeps people passive, distracted, and emotionally dependent. But struggle forces reflection. It forces maturity. It forces people to confront themselves honestly. That is why some of the strongest people are not the people who had the easiest lives. They are the people who survived difficult seasons without giving up on themselves. You must remember this during hard times. Just because life feels lonely right now does not mean your future is hopeless. Just because progress feels slow does not mean transformation is not happening. Just because nobody sees your effort does not mean your discipline is meaningless. Everything you are doing matters. Every habit matters. Every sacrifice matters. Every moment where you choose growth over comfort matters. One day, the results of your discipline will become visible. But before that day arrives, you must survive the seasons where your growth feels invisible. This is where mental strength is built. Most people want success, but they do not want the loneliness that often comes before success. They want confidence without discomfort, peace without emotional struggle, strength without sacrifice. But life does not work that way. Everything valuable requires patience. Even healing takes time. Many people underestimate how long emotional healing actually takes. They expect themselves to recover quickly from disappointment, heartbreak, rejection, failure, or loneliness. But healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong. Other days old emotions may return unexpectedly. That does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. The important thing is that you continue moving forward despite those emotions. Because healing does not happen by avoiding life. Healing happens by continuing to live even while carrying pain. This is why resilience is so important. Resilience is not pretending life never hurts you. Resilience is the ability to continue growing even after life hurts you. And every time you continue despite pain, you become mentally stronger. One day you will look back and realize that many things you once cried over were actually preparing you for growth. The rejection that once broke your heart may have protected your future. The loneliness that once made you feel abandoned may have taught you emotional independence. The difficult seasons that once felt unbearable may have forced you to become stronger, wiser, calmer, and more disciplined. At the time, you may not understand why life feels difficult. But later, clarity often arrives. You realize that struggle was shaping your character. You realize that pain was teaching you maturity. You realize that loneliness was teaching you how to stand on your own. And eventually, gratitude replaces resentment. Not because suffering was enjoyable, but because suffering transformed you into someone stronger. Most people spend their life trying to avoid struggle completely. But avoiding struggle also means avoiding growth. A muscle becomes stronger through resistance. In the same way, your mind becomes stronger through challenges. This does not mean you should seek suffering unnecessarily. It means you should stop seeing every difficult season as proof that your life is falling apart. Sometimes life is rebuilding you. Sometimes life is forcing you to let go of emotional dependence. Sometimes life is teaching you discipline. Sometimes life is teaching you patience. And sometimes life is teaching you that your strength is far greater than you realized. There will be moments where you feel tempted to give up because progress feels too slow. During those moments, remember this: people often quit right before their life begins changing. The person who keeps going usually wins, not because they are always smarter or more talented, but because consistency eventually creates results. Every day you continue improving yourself matters. Every day you refuse to give up matters. Every day you choose discipline over comfort matters. Those small decisions slowly shape your future. One of the biggest mistakes people make is underestimating the power of small, consistent actions. They think transformation only happens through dramatic moments. But most transformation happens quietly through repeated daily habits. Reading a little every day, working on your goals every day, controlling your emotions every day, staying disciplined every day, protecting your peace every day. These things may seem small in the moment, but over time, they completely change your identity. And eventually, you become someone different, someone stronger, someone calmer, someone more emotionally stable, someone who no longer falls apart every time life becomes difficult. That version of you is being built right now, even if you cannot fully see it yet. This is why you must stop measuring your life only by immediate results. Some of the most important things in life take time to develop. Confidence takes time. Discipline takes time. Healing takes time. Emotional maturity takes time. Be patient with your growth. A strong life is not built in one perfect moment. It is built through years of persistence during imperfect seasons. And one day, something beautiful happens. You wake up and realize you are no longer the same person who once felt emotionally weak and lost. The things that once broke you no longer control you. The loneliness that once scared you no longer feels unbearable. The rejection that once destroyed your confidence no longer defines your worth. You finally understand your own strength, and that realization changes your entire life. Because once you understand how much you survived alone, you stop doubting yourself so easily. You stop fearing difficult seasons because you know you can handle them. You stop begging the world for validation because you already know your value. You stop depending on others to rescue you because you finally became strong enough to carry yourself. That is real transformation. And one day, when your life becomes more peaceful, more stable, and more meaningful, you will look back at these lonely and difficult seasons differently. You will realize they were not there to destroy you. They were there to build you into the person you were always meant to become. And on that day, you will quietly thank yourself for one thing above all else: for not giving up when life became hard. Chapter 11. Stop chasing people and start building yourself. One of the biggest reasons people lose themselves in life is because they spend too much time chasing people and not enough time building themselves. They chase attention, approval, validation, love, and acceptance so desperately that they slowly forget who they are. Their emotions become controlled by how others treat them. Their peace depends on who responds to them, who notices them, and who chooses to stay in their life. This creates emotional exhaustion, because no matter how hard you try, you can never fully control other people. You cannot control how people feel about you. You cannot control who leaves, who changes, or who misunderstands you. And when your happiness depends entirely on things outside your control, your life becomes unstable. That is why one of the most powerful decisions you can make is to stop chasing people and start building yourself. Most people never realize how much energy they waste trying to be accepted. They constantly overthink conversations. They replay situations in their head. They worry about whether people like them enough. They seek reassurance because they fear rejection. And over time, this habit slowly destroys their confidence because they begin measuring their worth through other people's reactions. But your value cannot depend on public approval. The moment your self-worth depends on how others see you, you give people emotional power over your life. One compliment makes you feel confident, and one criticism destroys your peace. One message makes you happy, and one moment of silence fills you with anxiety. This is emotional dependence, and emotional dependence always creates suffering. Strong people learn how to break free from this cycle. They stop making people the center of their life. They stop abandoning their own goals just to gain temporary attention. Instead of chasing validation, they focus on building themselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. This changes everything, because when you start focusing on your own growth, your confidence becomes more stable. You no longer feel desperate for approval, because your life is no longer built around external validation. Your attention shifts inward. Instead of constantly asking, "Do people value me?" you begin asking, "Am I becoming someone I respect?" That is a completely different mindset. Most people are trying to be chosen by others. Powerful people choose themselves first. This does not mean becoming selfish or uncaring. It means finally understanding that your life matters too. Your peace matters. Your future matters. Your mental health matters. And if you constantly sacrifice yourself just to keep other people comfortable, you will eventually become emotionally empty inside. Many people spend years trying to hold on to relationships that no longer bring peace into their life. They tolerate disrespect because they fear loneliness. They ignore red flags because they fear starting over. They keep begging for attention from people who clearly do not value them properly. But chasing people rarely creates healthy connection. It creates emotional imbalance. When you chase people desperately, you slowly lose your self-respect. You begin lowering your standards. You begin accepting behavior that damages your peace. You become emotionally attached to people who are inconsistent, unavailable, or unhealthy for your growth. And the more desperate you become for validation, the more emotionally exhausted you feel. That is why learning how to walk away is so important. A strong person understands that not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people belong in certain chapters of your life, but not in your future. Trying to force every person to stay only creates more pain. You must stop believing that losing people always means losing value. Sometimes losing people creates space for growth. Sometimes distance protects your peace. Sometimes walking away saves your future. This is one of the hardest emotional lessons to accept, because humans naturally crave connection. We want love. We want support. We want understanding. But many people become so afraid of losing others that they completely lose themselves in the process. They stop speaking honestly. They stop pursuing their goals. They stop protecting their boundaries. They become whatever other people want them to become because they fear rejection. But a life built on fear is never peaceful. At some point, you must decide whether you want temporary approval or lasting self-respect, because you cannot build a strong life while constantly abandoning yourself. Strong people eventually realize that attention is not the same as love, validation is not the same as peace, and being surrounded by people does not always mean you are emotionally fulfilled. Some of the loneliest people are constantly surrounded by others because they are disconnected from themselves. That is why building yourself matters more than chasing attention. When you focus on improving your mindset, your habits, your discipline, and your future, something powerful begins happening inside you. You become more emotionally stable, more self-aware, more independent. You stop panicking every time someone distances themselves from you, because your identity no longer depends on their presence. This is real confidence. Confidence is not loudly proving yourself to the world. Confidence is quietly knowing your worth, even when the world does not constantly remind you of it. Most people are emotionally reactive because they have not built enough inner stability. They immediately panic when relationships change. They overthink rejection. They constantly seek reassurance because they do not fully trust themselves yet. But when you spend time building yourself, your emotional foundation becomes stronger. You begin realizing that loneliness will not destroy you. Rejection will not destroy you. People leaving will not destroy you. Why? Because your life is no longer built entirely around other people. It is built around purpose, discipline, growth, self-respect, and inner peace. That kind of life is difficult to break. Many people wait for support before they begin changing their life. They wait for somebody to motivate them, encourage them, or believe in them first. But powerful people understand that waiting forever will only waste years of their life. Sometimes nobody will support your vision in the beginning. Sometimes nobody will understand your goals. Sometimes people may even doubt you. But if you keep depending on outside validation before taking action, you will remain stuck forever. At some point, you must decide to believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. That is where transformation begins. The truth is, most people are too distracted chasing attention to truly build themselves. They spend hours scrolling through other people's lives while neglecting their own future. They become addicted to short-term emotional stimulation instead of focusing on long-term growth. But growth requires sacrifice. Growth requires focus. Growth requires learning how to delay temporary comfort for a better future. This is why disciplined people often spend long periods of time alone, not because they hate people, but because they understand the value of focus. They understand that constantly seeking approval drains mental energy, and they would rather use that energy to build something meaningful for themselves. You must learn how to protect your attention. Your attention shapes your future. Whatever constantly controls your attention eventually controls your life. If your attention is always focused on who likes you, who ignores you, or who validates you, your growth will suffer. But if your attention becomes focused on discipline, self-improvement, emotional control, and purpose, your life begins changing slowly over time. This is why building yourself is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. It means you stop wasting your entire life emotionally, chasing people who are not truly aligned with your future. Instead, you begin investing energy into your own healing, growth, and transformation. And over time, something incredible begins happening. You stop feeling desperate. You stop begging for attention. You stop fearing loneliness so deeply. You stop explaining yourself constantly. You stop shrinking yourself just to be accepted. Instead, you begin feeling calmer, because your peace no longer depends entirely on external things. This does not mean life suddenly becomes perfect. You will still experience loneliness sometimes. You will still feel emotional pain sometimes. You will still go through rejection, disappointment, and difficult seasons. But the difference is that those things no longer completely destroy your identity, because now your identity is rooted inside yourself. And that changes everything. A person who builds themselves becomes emotionally stronger with time. Every difficult season teaches them something valuable. Every lonely moment increases their self-awareness. Every challenge develops more resilience inside them. Eventually, they stop needing constant reassurance from the world around them because they finally trust themselves. That trust creates freedom. Freedom from emotional desperation. Freedom from fear of abandonment. Freedom from constantly seeking approval. And once you experience that freedom, you realize something powerful. The energy you once wasted chasing people could have been used to build a better version of yourself all along. One day you will look back and understand that your greatest growth did not begin when people finally supported you. It began the moment you stopped chasing validation and started choosing yourself instead. Chapter 12. Your future is built by what you do alone. Most people believe their future will suddenly change one day through luck, motivation, or outside opportunities. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for support. They wait for life to become easier before they finally become disciplined, focused, or serious about their growth. But the truth is, your future is not built during big dramatic moments. Your future is built quietly through the small decisions you make every day when nobody is watching. The habits you repeat alone shape your entire life. What you do during lonely seasons matters more than most people realize. The way you think alone matters. The way you spend your free time matters. The way you respond to pain, boredom, loneliness, and disappointment matters. Because every repeated behavior slowly becomes part of your identity. This is why some people continue growing stronger, while others stay stuck for years in the same emotional patterns. Strong people understand that private habits create public results. Most people only see the visible outcome of success. They see confidence, discipline, emotional strength, financial stability, or peace. But they do not see the invisible habits that created those things. They do not see the early mornings, the lonely nights, the sacrifices, the self-control, the emotional battles, or the consistency repeated day after day. But that invisible work is what builds a powerful life. Your future is being shaped right now by what you consistently do in private. If you constantly waste your time, your future will reflect that. If you constantly avoid responsibility, your future will reflect that. If you constantly chase distraction instead of discipline, your future will reflect that too. But if you slowly build stronger habits, stronger thinking, and stronger emotional control, your life will eventually begin changing in ways you cannot imagine yet. This is why discipline matters so much. Discipline allows you to continue improving yourself even when emotions change, because emotions are temporary. Some days you will feel motivated, other days you will feel tired, discouraged, lonely, or emotionally drained. If your actions only depend on motivation, your progress will always remain unstable. But disciplined people continue anyway. They understand that success is not built through perfect emotions. It is built through consistent behavior. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that small actions do not matter. They think missing one day of discipline is harmless. They think wasting one evening is unimportant. But over time, repeated small decisions create completely different lives. A person who reads a little every day becomes wiser over time. A person who exercises consistently becomes healthier over time. A person who controls their emotions becomes calmer over time. A person who practices discipline becomes mentally stronger over time. Transformation happens gradually. That is why patience is necessary. Most people quit because they expect immediate results from long-term work. They become discouraged too quickly. They improve themselves for a few weeks and then stop, because life has not changed dramatically yet. But real growth often feels slow in the beginning. Think about a building being constructed. At first, there is little visible progress above the ground because the foundation is still being built underneath. But without a strong foundation, the building eventually collapses. Your habits are your foundation. Your mindset is your foundation. Your discipline is your foundation. And foundations are built quietly before visible success appears. This is why lonely seasons can become so powerful if you use them correctly. When you are alone, you have fewer distractions controlling your attention. You have more opportunities to reflect, improve, and rebuild yourself. Many people waste solitude because they use it only for entertainment and distraction. Instead of using lonely seasons to grow, they spend all their time escaping reality. Endless scrolling, endless comparison, endless overthinking, endless emotional dependence on people who are not helping them grow. But disciplined people use solitude differently. They study, they reflect, they improve their habits, they build skills, they strengthen their mindset, they protect their peace. And slowly, those private actions begin changing their entire future. One of the most dangerous things in modern life is distraction. Many people are not failing because they are incapable. They are failing because their attention is constantly being stolen. Their mind is overloaded with noise, entertainment, comparison, and emotional chaos. Because of this, they never spend enough time focused on becoming stronger. Attention is powerful. Whatever controls your attention eventually controls your direction in life. If your attention is constantly focused on drama, validation, and distraction, your life will slowly become more chaotic. But if your attention becomes focused on growth, discipline, healing, and purpose, your life slowly becomes stronger and more peaceful. This is why protecting your mind is so important. The people you listen to affect your mindset. The habits you repeat affect your future. The thoughts you feed daily affect your emotional state. Everything matters. Most people underestimate how much their environment shapes them. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, distraction, laziness, and emotional chaos, your own discipline becomes weaker over time. But if you intentionally create an environment focused on growth, peace, and self-improvement, your mindset begins changing naturally. This is why sometimes walking alone becomes necessary, not because isolation is perfect, but because distance from negativity gives your mind room to breathe again. Many people stay emotionally exhausted because they are constantly surrounded by people, habits, and environments that drain their energy. They want peace while remaining attached to chaos. They want growth while refusing to let go of distractions. But growth requires sacrifice. You cannot build a peaceful life while constantly feeding your mind negativity. You cannot become disciplined while constantly choosing comfort over responsibility. You cannot become emotionally strong while constantly avoiding discomfort. At some point, you must become honest with yourself. You must ask yourself difficult questions. What kind of future am I building through my daily habits? Am I becoming stronger or weaker through the choices I make every day? Am I protecting my peace or constantly destroying it myself? Am I using loneliness to grow or using distractions to escape reality? These questions matter because your future is not created by luck alone. It is created through repeated behavior over time. Strong people understand this deeply. That is why they stop focusing only on quick pleasure and begin focusing more on long-term growth. They understand that temporary comfort often creates long-term pain, while temporary discipline often creates long-term freedom. This mindset changes everything. A disciplined person may suffer temporarily while building their future, but eventually they gain peace, confidence, and stability. A distracted person may enjoy temporary comfort, but eventually they suffer from regret, emotional instability, and lack of direction. Every day you are building something, either a stronger future or a weaker one. And most of that future is built through what you do when nobody else is around. This is why learning how to be alone productively is such a valuable skill. A person who can stay focused without constant supervision becomes dangerous in a positive way. They no longer depend on other people to force them to improve. They become self-driven. That kind of person eventually separates themselves from the average mindset around them, because most people only work hard when pressure forces them to. But disciplined people work hard because they understand who they want to become. There is a huge difference between reacting to life and intentionally building your life. Most people react emotionally to everything around them. Their mood changes constantly depending on external situations. One bad moment destroys their focus completely. One disappointment causes them to quit. But emotionally mature people become more stable. They understand that difficult emotions are temporary. They understand that pain is part of growth. They understand that progress requires patience. And because of this, they continue moving forward even during hard seasons. You must become one of those people. You must stop waiting for perfect conditions before taking your life seriously. You must stop waiting for motivation before becoming disciplined. You must stop waiting for support before believing in yourself. Because life moves fast, years pass quickly, and one day you will either thank yourself for using your lonely seasons wisely or regret wasting them on distraction and emotional dependence. The beautiful thing about growth is that small, consistent effort eventually creates visible transformation. One day your thinking changes, your confidence changes, your habits change, your emotional stability changes. You begin noticing that things which once controlled you emotionally no longer affect you in the same way. Why? Because you became stronger slowly, quietly, privately. And over time, those silent improvements completely changed your identity. This is why you should never underestimate the power of consistent self-improvement. Even when progress feels invisible, something is still changing inside you. Every disciplined decision is building a stronger future. Every moment where you choose growth over distraction matters. Every moment where you choose peace over chaos matters. Every moment where you choose discipline over comfort matters. Because eventually, all those small choices combine together and create a completely different life. One day people may look at your confidence, your peace, or your success and think it happened naturally. They may not understand the years of discipline and lonely self-improvement behind it. They may not see the emotional battles you fought privately. They may not understand how many nights you spent rebuilding yourself while nobody noticed your struggle. But you will know. You will remember the silent work that built you. You will remember the lonely seasons that strengthened you. You will remember the moments where you almost gave up, but kept moving forward anyway. And one day, you will realize something powerful. Your future was never built by luck alone. It was built by the person you became during the moments you stood alone and decided not to quit on yourself. At the end of the day, life will always test you. There will be seasons where you feel unsupported, misunderstood, lonely, and emotionally exhausted. There will be moments where people leave, opportunities disappear, and nothing around you feels certain. But those moments are not the end of your story. Sometimes they are the beginning of your transformation. The truth is, some of the strongest people in the world were built during lonely seasons. Seasons where they had nobody to rely on but themselves. No constant support, no validation, no applause. Just discipline, pain, silence, and the decision to keep moving forward anyway. That is where real strength is created. Building a better life alone does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop depending on people to create your identity, your peace, and your future. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you emotionally before you begin improving your life. You realize that your future is your responsibility, and that realization changes everything. Every chapter of your life has been teaching you something. The loneliness taught you independence. The pain taught you resilience. The silence taught you self-awareness. The struggle taught you discipline. And the moments where you almost gave up taught you how strong you truly are. One day you will look back and realize that the hardest seasons of your life were also the seasons that built your character the most. The nights you cried alone, the moments you felt lost, the times nobody understood your vision. Those moments were shaping you into someone wiser, calmer, stronger, and more emotionally mature. Do not waste your life chasing constant validation from people who cannot give you inner peace. Stop abandoning yourself just to feel accepted. Stop shrinking your dreams because other people cannot see your potential yet. Your journey is not meant to look like everyone else's. Some paths are lonely because they are preparing you for a different future. So keep building yourself quietly, keep protecting your peace, keep working on your habits, your mindset and your future, even when progress feels invisible. Because every disciplined action matters, every painful lesson matters, every lonely season matters. And one day, all the silent work you did alone will become visible in the way you think, the way you carry yourself, the way you handle life, and the peace you finally feel within yourself. The person you are becoming right now is stronger than the person you used to be. Do not give up on that person, because your greatest life may begin the moment you stop waiting for the world to save you, and finally decide to save yourself.